Hello, everybody, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome. I'm Amber Rose, also known as the Religious Hippie. You can basically follow me on any social media platform, or you can go straight to my website at thereligioushippie.com. On my website, you'll find economy rosaries, haters will be prayed for, prayer journals, hats, tumblers, lots of things. So definitely go check that out. But welcome. So this is episode 15 of the Help segment. Help episodes. Why is my audio being weird? Hang on. Is she fine now? Hopefully she's fine now. Sorry if my audio is a little weird. Hopefully she fixed herself and she's not going to be finicky anymore. Oh my gosh. Okay, she's going to be finicky. We're going to do this. And we're going to do that. Okay. Hopefully it stays. I don't know why it was being finicky before. We're going to go with she's fine now. Hopefully. If not, we'll have to switch to maybe this one's better. We'll see. Anyways, welcome everybody. I hope you guys are all doing well. I'm also live on Instagram, but my main thing is YouTube. So if you guys are here from Instagram, hello. And if you guys are here from YouTube, hello as well. So usually for anyone who's new, I know I really haven't introduced the help segment in a while. And since we've had a lot of new followers and everything, the help segment is where you guys email in asking for advice. If you guys do want to be a part of this, email me and put in the subject line help so that I know it's for the help segment. And please specify whether or not you'd like to remain anonymous. And then you can email me at theligioushippie@gmail.com and I'll try to get you on the help segment. So we're catching up with a couple since things have been super busy. And I just kind of wanted to go through those with you today. So today we have some interesting ones. Last time we had quite a few interesting ones as well. And I get a lot of dating help advice type of thing. And if you guys saw my most recent reel, you guys know that Catholic dating is a little bit sketch, which is why I'm so glad I found Max, but I feel for y'all. So, yeah, a lot of these have to do with dating. I think next week, most of them are going to be about dating. So, without further ado, oh, that's why it was being wonky, guys. My microphone was being wonky because my coffee was on the cord. Ugh, that's awkward. Hey, Alex, welcome. Welcome, Arnie. Welcome, everybody. My favorite alcoholic drink? Oh, I don't really drink alcohol. It's not like a purity thing or anything. It just makes me feel like crap. But I love mules. So if I do have any type of alcohol, it'd probably be a mule. All right. Let's jump right into the first email of the day. Hey, Clay. Welcome. Welcome. Hey, Amber. I'm hoping you can offer some insight on a family situation of mine. In the past year, a cousin of mine to whom I am close has entered into a relationship which she has informed us is a marriage, and my family and I are concerned and do not know what or how to react. The man she is with displays some red flags. We constantly catch him in lies, he speaks over her, etc. And she has begun displaying concerning behavior as well. One example is that she left college right as she began talking to him and hid the relationship for a while. They also only apply to jobs together, which is making it hard to get work. On top of this, I am unsure of the church's teaching on if their marriage is actually legitimate and of how I should be reacting. They were not married in any church and were denied the right to marry in the Lutheran church. My cousin used to be a member of because the pastor who did their pre-marriage counseling said he did not think they should be getting married. Because of this, we have been thinking of for the past year that they were only engaged, but she recently told us that they made their vows before God alone in the park right after they got engaged. Is this considered legitimate by the church? Of course, I've been praying for them and hope you will as well. Are there any particular saints whose intercession you would recommend praying for? Ooh, there's a lot to unpack there. Oh my goodness. Well, first of all, I'm so sorry that she's in this situation, and I'm sorry that you're stuck in this situation as well. Um, First of all, I don't really know because the thing is you said she was a part of the Lutheran Church, correct? I'm assuming you're not Catholic, because I think you put that in the email. I didn't include that part, but I'm pretty sure you were the one who wasn't Catholic. In order for it to be recognized by the church, one or both of them would have to be Catholic. So if she's Lutheran and she doesn't have any of the Catholic sacraments. In order for it to be recognized by the church, she would have to be Catholic. Technically, the Catholic Church does recognize legal marriages. Like if you have the marriage license, you had an officiant there, and you are legally married, if you want to not live in sin and you're Catholic but you're legally married, then you would just have to go get your marriage blessed by the cat, and then it's, you know, acknowledged in the eyes of God. However, it doesn't sound like they had an officiant, made their vows before God alone in a park right after they got engaged. So, in order for them to even be recognized as married in the law, in the state, in America, there would have to be an officiant who signs off on it and says, "Oh, I married these two." Um, and it doesn't seem like that's what they did. So no, I would say that this marriage is not valid in any way, shape, or form. I would say when people are in abusive relationships like this, and I've talked about my abusive relationships previously, you're kind of in this sense of denial. You don't feel like, you know, you're in an abusive like you're basically just denying everything. Like, no, everybody's wrong. Like he's the greatest. I mean, I don't know your cousin personally. I would say she's an adult. There's not really much you can do about that, especially if you continue helping her, but she just goes back to him. Like, there's an issue there. I will say, don't abandon her, right? Don't close that door, because I think that's one mistake that a lot of families do is when they see someone in an abusive relationship and that person isn't accepting the family's help or listening to them in any way, they're done. They just cut them off, like whatever, and they abandon that person. And I don't think that's the right approach. Um, I don't know where her family is. I don't know where his family is. I don't know if you've met his family. I don't know if you've, you know, interacted with the family. I don't know how they all feel about it. Um, but you know, abusive relationships are really tricky because when somebody's caught in a cycle of abuse, it's not easy to break free from. It's almost like you have brain fog. And I'm speaking from experience, being physically abused for literally 3 months and still staying for some reason, despite the fact I knew it wasn't right. Like, he should not be treating me like this. Um, and it happens, you know, people get stuck in that cycle of abuse. And not that they think it's normal, but they think they might deserve it, or they might think, like, oh, well, you know, he's right. Like, I'm just the worst person on earth and he's making me better. Um, she could be very gullible. She could be influenced very easily, and that's not good either. I would say try to have a conversation with her about it if you can, not like without him there if possible. So, not over the phone because you never know who's listening and things like that. But unfortunately, in those types of situations, sometimes the abuser does not let the other person out without them also going along or being a part of it of some kind. Usually, they have to have a hand in every single thing that they're doing. So, it can be really tricky. You asked for some saints who particularly would be good for in asking their intercession. I would say, my favorite is Saint Rita of Kasha. She is fantastic. So she was a female saint between the 14th and 15th century, and she was married to a very abusive husband. And she was married to him for, I believe it was 18 to 20 years. And eventually he died in a duel, and she continued praying for him, and she continued to try and, you know, raise her sons in the way of the church and everything. And so she is a wonderful saint to ask intercession from if you know someone or you yourself are in an abusive relationship. You know, we constantly have to pray for those people who are in the abusive relationship, but also the abusers. Um, both really do need our prayers. But if she's not ready, there's not really much you can do except just be there and not abandon her. I think that's probably the most important thing, is to just have an open line of communication where she feels safe enough to come to you if something did happen. So just don't shut her out. And I would say prayer and sacrifice are going to be the two biggest things, right? For both of them. So it's really difficult, but to see like someone you love go through something like that, and as somebody who was, I was in multiple abusive relationships physically and mentally, which I didn't even know until I finally put my foot down. I was like, okay, this clearly isn't right. Like something's not right about this. And I had to leave. And that's what I did. Um and so it takes a while though. And it seems like she's been kind of hiding this for a while, and she doesn't really seem like she has any intentions of leaving. So I would just say keep the communication open. If it really bothers you and it really starts getting concerning, I would consider talking to a priest about it to see what they say. I know you said you were going to RCIA sometime soon. So congratulations on that. That's fantastic. Um, but I would say if it's really starting to bug you, talk to a priest about it and see if there's a suggestion that he might have. But yeah, that's just a really tricky situation. So keep me updated on that. I hope that things do end up working out and she gets out of that situation and she gets away from the abuse. That would be ideal. But being caught in that cycle of abuse is just, it's so hard. So hard. Okay. Our second email of the day. So okay. Hi. So, firstly, I am too young and not in a stable position to begin courting yet. I have been discerning since my conversion and am almost certain I am called to marriage, but have still been considering potential wives, if that makes sense. Okay. I guess I'm considering who I could begin courting in the future and whether they suit what I want in a wife, while also aiming to be what they want me to be as a husband. From what I can tell, there is a girl at my church my age seemingly interested in me, and so far she exceeds my expectations. Essentially, how can I try to hint at a future courtship without courting now, as it would not be appropriate for either of us? I have a big issue with this. The main thing is if you're not ready to court somebody, you can't hint at it and be like, "Hey, I want to date you in the future, but not right now. Not right now. I can't do it right now. But like you, and me, we got something, but down in the future." So here's the thing: I don't know why you can't court yet. I don't know if it's because of jobs. I don't know if it's because of school. A lot of people will put a lot of things ahead of marriage that I don't think are necessary. Um, I don't know the specific situation here. I don't know what you're waiting for. I don't know any of that. So take my advice with a grain of salt. But I don't think it's appropriate to go up to a girl who you want to date in the future but aren't willing to commit to right now and asking her basically to wait for the unforeseeable future until you're ready to date her. And I don't know why she's not ready to date yet or to court yet. There's not a whole lot of information there, but I don't think it's fair to either of you to be like, "Oh, like we'll wait for each other." It's one of those things where if you're not ready to court, don't say anything. Are you going to pass up an opportunity of your future wife? Or are you going to, figure out what you need to do to be in a position of courting so that you don't miss that opportunity? Honestly, it really just depends on where you are. I don't know the situation and I don't mean to be harsh, but this is facts. And again, like I said, like guys need to hear it directly. They need to know that, if it's not appropriate to be dating for either of you right now, then don't say anything, you know? Um, if you decide, like, you know what, I'm going to go for it, like, all the issues that I had before that held me back from courting actually aren't that big of a deal, and we can make it work if it's really meant to be type thing, you know what, then go for it. But I don't think it's fair to ask her to wait for you because you don't have your act together yet, right? And I don't know what her act is. You said that it would not be appropriate for either of us to start courting right now. I don't know what that means. Um, but yes, Clay, exactly. It's the common theme of the help segment is let your yes be yes and let your no be no. If you're not following that, you're probably doing it wrong. So that's the thing. You have to be direct. If you want to date her, be intentional about that. Make it happen. Be like, I'm going to get my act together and I'm going to ask her out, right? Because if you guys are just waiting for, there's never going to be a perfect moment. There's never going to be a perfect situation where you guys are going to be perfectly ready to date. And again, it could be a huge issue. Like maybe you live thousands and thousands of miles away and stuff like that. Or maybe it's as small as you're just still in school, right? The thing is, though, is that when you have a family, you'll do what you can to provide, right? And that's something that a lot of young couples learn is not everything's going to be perfect. Kids aren't always going to come at the perfect time. You're not always going to have the perfect amount of money or the perfect kind of car or the perfect house. Sometimes you have to rough it out in an apartment for a little bit first. But yet, literally what Clay say, let your yes be yes and let your no be no. If you're not serious about dating her right now, then don't ask her to wait for you. That's really selfish in a way, because then she's going to be on the line. And if another guy comes along and she really likes him and she's like, I don't want to waste my time, she's going to feel obligated to still wait for you. Or you're going to feel like, oh, why did I miss that opportunity when I could have had that opportunity? So you kind of have to prioritize here. What's more important, right? And is it finding a future wife, or is it having the perfect amount of money and the perfect house and the perfect car and everything's perfect before you get married? Because that's not life, right? And I think what's really important is that as young people, you build your life together, not you both have it figured out and then come together. If you build your lives together, you build them with each other integrated into it already. And so, because of that, you guys fit into each other's lives so well, and you guys build these memories and you build these, connections and a deeper foundation. Whereas if she has, all of her stuff figured out, you have all your stuff figured out, and then you come together, not that that can't work, right? It does work. But if you're betting on that to happen before you get, engaged or courting or whatever, that's not really realistic. Unless you want to be 30 when you get married, right? So I would definitely say either go for it or don't go for it, right? You got to make up your mind here. You got to figure out, okay, do I want to miss this opportunity of potentially, marrying my future wife or dating my future wife or whatever? Or am I going to focus on these other things? Right? So you have to pick one or the other, but you can't just ask her to wait around for you for an unforeseen amount of time, because that's just wasting her time. And it's wasting your time too, in a way. So yeah, I just think that guys need a little bit of tough love when it comes to this type of thing, but it's the same thing with women. Let your yes be yes and your no be no. If you're not interested in him, say no. Just don't be like, no. No, be like, "Oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate it, but I'm not interested." There's a cicada that just landed on my window. Hello. Anyway, so let your yes be yes, your no be no. Goes for men and women. If you really like him, don't play the stupid games. We talked about this last week. Don't play the dumb games of like, oh, like maybe we can go on a date or something. But like, no, if you're interested in him and you like him, be like, I'd love to go on a date with you. When should we go? Plan the date. Pick me up at 8. I don't care. Whatever. And if you don't like him, tell him you're not interested. And men, if she says, I'm not interested, take no for no, right? No is an answer. And it's not always the one we want, but it's the one sometimes you need, right? So yeah. That's my answer. I'm not being mean, I promise. I think that guys just need to hear it straight, and as a woman, I just don't feel like I need to sugarcoat it for the men, because I was there. I've seen it happen. I still see it happen, right? In Catholic circles and everything. Like, I just see it all the time. And I don't think there's enough honesty. I don't think enough women are being honest with men. And I don't think enough men are making up their mind on what they really want. And so then it confuses the women and it just spirals into all of this confusion. It's really unfortunate. But yeah, so that's Debbie the answer. Okay, a little coffee break here. Delicious. My allergies have been really bad this spring. Or is it summer yet? When's the first day of summer? I don't know, but my allergies have been really bad this year. So my throat's kind of grounding out right now. My voice is like grounding out. You guys could probably hear it a little bit, but usually it's not this low. My voice is a lot higher usually. So there you go. All right. Last email of the day. I am so sorry. I am going to butcher your name. I am so sorry for this in advance. Hi, Amber. My name is Letizia. Letizia? I am so sorry. I am 22 years old and I live in Padua, Italy. I discovered your channel several months ago and I find it a constructive space for discussion and reflection on faith, as well as a great way to practice and improve my English. We love to hear it. As a Catholic girl, I particularly appreciate your content on relationships and the knowledge that in this, as in every area of life, we need to pursue God's will and not our own, so that we can be happy in an authentic and lasting way. Preach. Specifically, I wanted to ask your opinion on this. Vacationing together as an engaged couple. I'll explain the context. A member of an engaged couple. Okay, I realized she just wrote this in Italian and just translated it, so some English might be weird. A member of an engaged Catholic couple who have chosen to live in chastity proposes to go on vacation together, just the two of them. What do you think? This issue challenged my relationship, which ended a few years ago, so it is particularly close to my heart. I have also confronted it with my spiritual father, and I care about being firm in what I think. Also, for the health of my future relationship that I am waiting for and praying a lot for. Great question. I know this is kind of common these days to like travel with your partner, if you guys are engaged. However, I would not suggest it, right? Um, if you guys do travel and you guys are staying in hotel rooms, it needs to be separate hotel rooms. And the reason I say this is because even though you guys are choosing to live in chastity, you guys are choosing to stay chaste during your relationship, stuff happens. Stuff happens all the time, especially when you're traveling together. If you guys are sleeping in close quarters together, stuff happens. And I just don't think it's great to put yourself in a near occasion of sin. And a near occasion of sin is when you're putting yourself into a situation that could potentially lead to sin and you know it could, but you do it anyways. And that's what tends to happen a whole lot with engaged couples who travel before they get married. They think, oh, well, we're engaged now, we're getting married anyways. And so it's not that big of a deal. If we travel together, we still want to be chaste. You can have the best intentions in the world. And I 100% believe that. But things can still happen, especially if you're not married and you guys are in love, you guys are engaged, you're so excited. You know, you can go on vacation together in the sense of group vacation, right? But you said just you guys. And that's really difficult, right? You guys can have separate hotel rooms. Max and I were supposed to go to this event, and it was like a week before a big event that we had. And so we were basically jumping from event to event to event. And I wanted him to come with me to this one because it was one that specifically interested him. And we paid for an extra hotel room. Unfortunately, we didn't get to go. With everything with my dad, we just couldn't do it, which is totally fine. But we still planned on getting an extra hotel room because even though we have been very good about being chaste and all that stuff, and if we mess up, we go to confession and like all of that stuff, we've been really, really good about it because we hold each other accountable. So we've never pushed past any major boundaries. And so we already knew it's like, okay, we've never pushed past any major boundaries. And yeah, nothing would happen, but why test it? Right. And we already know it wouldn't cross the line. But at the same time, you can't see the future, right? You don't know the situation. You don't know what would go on. And so to prevent that, we would just get separate hotel rooms. And we did, but we got a refund. So it's fine. So I say no go personally. Also, it gives you something to do when you're married. And I would say that if it depends on the circumstance too. Let me say this too. If you are visiting his family or if he's visiting your family and he's staying in the guest bedroom or if you're staying in his family's guest bedroom, that's different, right? I know people who visited their uh fiance because they were long distance and their fiance had a roommate, and so their fiance would sleep on the couch and they would get their bed, and then the roommate was still there, so accountability partner, those types of things, like, okay, right? Because you're engaged, you're long distance, you're trying to get connections before you go. And, it totally makes sense in those aspects. But to go on vacation, it's not like a visit or anything, but to go on vacation, I don't think it's appropriate for engaged couples to do that. So, that's just my advice there. So hopefully that helps. And hopefully you guys enjoyed this episode. I won't be able to stay very long. Lots of stuff happening. With the weather warming up and everything. We just got the upstairs renovated, so we are all over the place, But thank goodness for iced coffee. We love that. So, anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode of the help segment. And of course, for anyone who missed it, I will save it on Instagram and I will save it on YouTube. So, yeah, but I hope you guys do have a good rest of your day. And I will talk to you guys probably next week. So, yeah. All right. Bye. Bye, guys.